In this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can take your paintings from this to this using just a few easy, quick, simple tips. If you're new to watercolors, you may find yourself painting in the literal sense that this is a bell pepper with a green stem, so you're painting the stem with one layer of green, and it's got a red body, so you're painting one layer of red for the body. Whilst there's nothing wrong with this technique, you might find that it turns out looking a little bit flat. So there are some very easy tips and tricks that you could use with minimal effort, and it will really help elevate your paintings. There's that saying that all paintings go through an ugly stage, and it's not ugly, it's just not complete. So let's get into it. Here I'm painting just a flat wash. This is often what beginners do. And the thing about watercolor is because it's quite granulating and flowy, it still doesn't look bad. But you can see it's not quite looking 3D. So this is the bell pepper and a red chili pepper I've painted. And you can see this close up. Now let's try a few things to elevate this. So I'm still going in with my green stem, but I've used a slightly more concentrated green, and then I've added some yellow as well. So the one thing to note is that nothing is ever truly one color. So the stem is green, but we've got lots of gradient and texture going on now. Same for the body. I'm painting the same red as before, but I'm leaving out some areas for highlights. Again, nothing is ever truly just one color. If you spend lots of time observing your subject, you will see that there's parts where the light's hitting it, where it's a lot shinier. Then there's darker parts where the shadows are hitting it. And if you focus on the shadows and highlights, and if you get them correct, then your painting, no matter what your style is, it's always going to look a lot more realistic. Now, an easy way to spot shadows and highlights is if you take a picture of your subject, put a black and white filter on it, and you will notice three colors. White, which is your highlights. It's easier if you just keep the white of the page for this, like what I've done. Then you'll notice the gray, which is the mid-tone. In this case, this is the red that we're putting on right now. And then you'll notice the black colors, which are the shadows. And for that, we're going to be putting a darker red. So here I've just done the base layer, and then I've blocked out the white highlights, and again I'm going in with a darker red. The next tip is you want to work in layers. So for the first bell pepper, we've just did one layer, and then you can see by adding lots of layers here, usually you want to work in 3 layers. By adding layers, it really adds depth into it, and it just makes it pop a little bit more. You want to make sure that the first layer is dry, and you don't want to cover the first layer up completely. This makes it look a lot more 3D and dynamic. And that is my second layer done. Now I'm going to be painting my shadows. And for this, if you look at the color wheel, colors that are next to each other in the wheel work quite nicely together. So the one that's next to red is purple. Therefore, I've mixed some purple into the red, and I'm using that for my shadows here. Other examples are like green and blue. Blue is a nice shadowy color to use for green, yellow and orange, etc. So here you can see the bell pepper compared to the first one. Like I said, a lot more 3D, a lot more dynamic. Now I'm using the same example on these little chili peppers as well. I'm going in with my red. I'm leaving out some areas for the highlights. And this will just make it pop. Another thing you want to do is leave the highlights towards a similar direction as all of the other subjects. It makes it look a lot more realistic. So I'll be painting it towards the middle of the pepper, and I'll do it on the other peppers too. Then I'm adding my shadow color with the purple, and you can see it just looks so much more 3D than the first chili pepper that we've done. And fruits, veggies, other forms of still life are really good to practice on because they're not moving objects. Often they just have 1 or 2 colors. So you can really focus on the value studies, take pictures of them, make them black and white, and then try to get the shades, the highlights, the shadows. And honestly, you'll notice a world of a difference in your painting. And then also, as you can probably see, I've been stippling it on. I'm working in smaller brush strokes compared to when I showed you the first example of just a flat wash. I did big brush strokes. Here I'm just doing little stipples to add more texture. And you also want to work in the same direction as your subject as well. So the chili peppers are going down. I'm using my brush strokes in the same direction. It just gives it the illusion that it's kind of round. And there you have it. You can see so much difference. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pop a shadow in the same direction for all of them, and it really helps it lift it off the page. So I'm just using some Payne's Grey and darkening it up at the base. And then same for the chili peppers too. I love this part at the end. It just ties it together really nicely. And there you have it. That's the last one done. So you can see again compared to the first example and now the difference that the shadows make. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video and I hope that it was useful tips to take away. Do let me know if there's anything else you would like to see, and thank you so much for watching.